Guys, welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. Well, I got a hold of the wrongful death lawsuit filed by Alexee and her boyfriend, Devin. So I'm going to go through that here on this video. So that's all I'm going to cover to keep it as short as possible. You guys let me know if the documents are of still interest, because I will go through any and all documents as they come through. And I really quick would appreciate it if you like the content that you're seeing. Hit that subscribe button for me. I've noticed, according to my analytics, that like 95% of you guys have not subscribed. So I would really appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button, and that way you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. All right, with that said, let's get to the lawsuit filed against Artesia General Hospital by Alexee and her boyfriend. So this again is the out of the state of New Mexico, 4th Judicial District Court. Looks like Arthur Bustos is going to be the attorney for, well, representing, I guess, the estate of Alexee Furio, which would be poor baby Alex, against the Artesia Special Hospital. Let's see. First amended complaint for wrongful death and punitive damage. Comes now plaintiff Arthur Bustos as wrongful death personal representative of the estate of Alexee Furio, deceased, by and through his undersigned counsel of record, and states the following as his First Amendment complaint for wrongful death and punitive damages against the Artesia Special Hospital District, DBA Artesia General Hospital, AGH or hospital going forward. Heather Marshall Vasquez, MD, which is the doctor, John and Jane Doe's A through F, and John Doe Companies G through K, herein referred to by such designations or collectively as defendants. All right. Number 1 says parties. Plaintiff Arthur Bustos is a citizen of the state of New Mexico and is a resident of San Miguel County, New Mexico. Arthur Bustos has previously been appointed as the wrongful death representative of the estate of Alexee Furio, herein sometimes referred to as decedent or Alex, pursuant to the New Mexico Wrongful Death Act, NMSA 1978, Statutes 41-2-3, in cause number D 412-CV-2023-00223, 4th Judicial District, San Miguel County, New Mexico. Defendant Artesia Special Hospital District, DBA Artesia General Hospital, is authorized to do business in the state of New Mexico and is doing business in the state of New Mexico. Upon information and belief, Artesia Special Hospital District was doing business as Artesia General Hospital, Eddy County, New Mexico, at all material times hereto. Defendant doctor, upon information and belief, is a medical doctor doing business in the state of New Mexico at all material times hereto. The hospital and the doctor acted by and through their agents, partners, officers, and employees are responsible for their acts or omissions through the doctrines of respondent, superior, or agency. John and Jane Doe's A through F inclusive are unknown persons who may have treated, cared for, participated in decisions, or otherwise have contributed to the death of decedent or otherwise violated the rights of the decedent as discovery proceeds. If the names of such individuals are determined, they will be substituted for the John and Jane Doe designations. So basically, once they learn who these people are, they're going to change it from John or Jane Doe to their name. John Doe Companies, G through K, inclusive, are companies, partnerships, corporations, limited liability companies, or any other entity, public or private, that may have contributed to the death of decedent, may have employed persons that contributed to the death of decedent or otherwise violated the rights of the decedent, and as discovery proceeds, If the names of such companies are determined, they will be substituted for the John Doe company's designations. All right, now we jump to 2, jurisdiction, venue, and joinder. Jurisdiction over the parties and subject matter herein is proper within this court pursuant to Article 6 of the New Mexico Constitution. Venue is proper in this court because plaintiff Arthur Bustos resides in San Miguel County, state of New Mexico, and MSA 1978, statute is 38-3-1A. 3. Factual background. On January 26, 2023, Alexee J. Trevizo, hereinafter Alexee, the surviving mother of the decedent, attended Artesia High School as a student, was on the cheer squad, and attended Artesia High School cheer practice on January 26, 2023. On January 26, 2023, at approximately 11:47 p.m., Alexee was taken to the AGH emergency department complaining of low back pain and abdominal pain. On a pain level of 1 to 10, with 10 being the greatest, Alexee stated that she was a 10. Alexee is a female of childbearing age. Alexee had regular menses, had used birth control, pills, and condoms, worked out a minimum of 2 hours, 5 days per week, and had worked out on January 26, 2023 for over 3 hours with the cheer team. On January 27, 2023, at approximately 12:05 a.m., Alexee was seen in the emergency department at AGH, at which time the attending physician was Heather Marshall Vasquez, M.D. Upon examination, Alexee complained of low back pain and told the doctor she had been at cheerleading practice and felt like she needed to have a bowel movement, but was unable to do so, and further indicated she was also experiencing abdominal pain. Alexee denied pregnancy and informed the doctor she was on her period. Alexee was asked if she had undergone a pelvic exam before, and she told the staff of AGH that she had not. On January 27, 2023, at 12:18 a.m., medication was given to Alexee consisting of cyclobenzaprine and acetaminophen. On January 27, 2023, at 12:28 a.m., medication was given to Alexee consisting of sodium chloride, ketorolac, ondansetron, and morphine sulfate. A saline lock and urinalysis were completed, but no specimen was received of HCG qual serum. A qualitative HCG blood test checks if there is a hormone called human chorionic gonadotropin in a person's blood, which is produced in the body during pregnancy. On January 27, 2023, at 12:28 a.m., lab tests were ordered, and such orders were entered in at 12:30 a.m. On January 27, 2023, at 12:28 a.m., a pregnancy serum test was ordered and collected at 12:30 a.m., received at 12:31 a.m., and reported at 12:51 a.m. by a call-out. Notice of results sent by a computer to Chris Sanchez, RN, at the AGH, and the doctor showing positive for pregnancy. The doctor and nurses admit that at 12:51 a.m. they received on their computers the notice of the results of the blood test showing that Alexee was pregnant. The medications which were given via an IV of cyclobenzaprine, acetaminophen, sodium chloride, ketorolac, ondansetron, and morphine sulfate, and despite AGH, the doctor and nurses knowing at 12:51 a.m. Alexee was pregnant, was continued after they had notice of the pregnancy. That's because none of those things are going to cause a problem. Number 27. The medication, including morphine, was not stopped after the defendants knew at 00:51 hours Alexee was pregnant. Ketorolac, ondansetron, cyclobenzaprine, and morphine all have warnings regarding use if the patient is pregnant. Yes, there are warnings, and this has been discussed here as well as throughout the comments, and it's been wonderful to have a lot of nurses, doctors, and other medical professionals comment on this. that while some of these may not be that they're used in their particular ER or their OB area, they're not harmful to the baby, and they do have warnings, but as long as the patient is observed and watched, they're not a problem. On January 27th, 2023, Alexee said she needed to use the bathroom. A nurse removed the IV at 01:39 hours, and Alexee ran down the hall from her room to the public bathroom in the emergency room. The doctor and other healthcare providers knew or should have known for 48 minutes that Alexee was pregnant. I don't think they didn't know she was pregnant. I really don't think that that's any kind of fact here. On January 27th, 2023, at 1:40 a.m., Alexee's mother checked on her as she had not come out of the bathroom, and checked on her again at 1:49 a.m. Now, these are going through what I've gone through before by watching the cameras in the hospital. On January 27th, 2023, at 1:56 a.m., the emergency department staff at AGH checked on Alexee, and one of the nurses got the key to unlock the bathroom door, but before the door was unlocked, Alexee exited the bathroom. On January 27th, 2023, at 1:57 a.m., Alexee exited the bathroom. No one assisted her as she walked back to the room she had been in. Alexee gave birth unassisted to a son while in the bathroom. She was asked if she needed help by mom, by nurses, other staff. She walked out of the bathroom. She had no problems walking. It was pretty obvious. On January 27th, 2023, at 2:02 a.m., the doctor had already ordered an ultrasound to determine the status of the baby, and same was ordered before the doctors and nurses learned that Alexee had given birth. On January 27th, 2023, at 2:38 a.m., the infant, Alex Ray Fierro, decedent, was pronounced dead by the defendant doctor. The hospital allowed the police into the room of Alexee with lapel cameras on and asked questions of Alexee and her mother that are protected by HIPAA laws and by the New Mexico Constitution, laws, rules, statutes, and regulations. Medical records, lab results, and videos of Alexee, her treatment or lack thereof, at or by defendants without consent of Alexee, were released to the Artesia Police Department and later to the public. All right, as far as the HIPAA situation goes, once this became a crime, that she delivered this child in the bathroom, put it in a trash bag, tied it up, and hid it, this became a crime. It's a whole nother ball game here. An entirely new ball game. Subsequently, the videos without consent of Alexee, her attorneys, and or a court were disclosed to the media, district attorney, Artesia Police Department, and have appeared on Facebook and other social media from numerous persons in the community, along with 3 major television networks, and have shown such confidential and private information that did not come from Alexee or her attorneys, and did not come with consent from Alexee or her attorneys. Again, the police and the hospital did not release, first of all, the hospital did not release anything that would affect her privacy until they had a warrant. And secondly, again, once a crime was confirmed to have been occurred, it was not the same as her just being there for treatment. Totally different situation. And as far as the police department releasing body cam, well, most of the time, body cam does become public record. And I know they're not listing the major television networks, but most of us can guess who they're referring to. The hospital violated the HIPAA laws by allowing the taking of such videos and the release of protected health information. Police wear body cams. Period. The hospital has cameras. In this day and age, For anyone to expect that they are out in public, they're in a hospital, a store, any public place, and they're not on video, I mean, that to me is crazy. So, as far as privacy is concerned, that has nothing to do with HIPAA. And releasing the body cam, again, as far as I understand, this was released legally. But again, there could be, I guess, some stipulations on some of that. But there was no privacy release when she was just showing her walking up and down that hallway and that staff. There's no HIPAA there. If anything, the body cams would have some of that, but at the same time, they weren't given her private HIPAA records, her more of that, because like I said, the charge nurse, remember, the charge nurse was very careful about what they gave to the officer. Once detectives came on scene and warrants were established, and that we saw that there was actually a crime, which was a murder, things changed. The hospital, doctor, and hospital employees allowed the release of protected medical records and information, including reports and videos taken at the hospital. As far as I understand, no one in this hospital, now if I'm proven wrong, I'll be sure to admit that later on, none of this nursing staff, this doctor, they had no part in releasing any of this stuff. This came down to law enforcement released the body cams and probably released the video from the hospital. That all came from the police. The hospital employees and doctors were aware of the pregnancy at 12:51 a.m., failed to inform Alexee she was pregnant, and failed to take the necessary healthcare procedures and protocols for a pregnant woman who was at a term pregnancy. Alexee knew she was pregnant. She told him the whole time she hadn't had sex. She was a virgin. That, no, I'm not pregnant. Yada, yada, yada. All the stuff we've gone through. She was in denial, whether she's in denial just to the medical staff or what, or to mom. Again, I am anxious for any Google searches and any texts and what have you to come out at trial. That is going to tell us a lot. The decedent died from the malpractice of defendants. Wrong. The decedent, which is Alex, he died because Alexee gave birth to him in the bathroom and put him in a bag. Put him in a plastic bag and double tied it and put another bag on top of it and a bunch of trash with paper towels on top of it. He either suffocated in that plastic bag or she suffocated him manually. I'm not going to go as far to say that that's what she did, but that baby suffocated to death. Had nothing to do with the staff of this hospital. Alexee was 19 years old at the time, was 5 feet in height, and her weight was 126 pounds. 4. Claims for relief. Count 1 against defendant hospital. All previous paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference. Upon information and belief, Artesia Special Hospital, District DBA, Artesia General Hospital, AGH, is a body, corporate, and politic organized under the laws of the state of New Mexico as a special hospital district and is a party for purposes of these claims and is responsible for the actions and omissions of its employees, agents, and contractors. Upon information and belief, AGH is a local public body and governmental entity as those terms are defined in the New Mexico Tort Claims Act 1978, statutes 41-4-3. As such, AGH may sue or be sued in its name. Sure, anyone can be sued. Hey, we're a sue-happy country, it seems, huh? AGH, at all material times, acted through its agents, servants, and employees and in furtherance of business of AGH for which it is liable under the New Mexico Tort Claims Act and NMSA Statute 41-4-1 1978. At all material times, the agents, servants, and employees were acting within their scope of duties for AGH. The Artesia Special Hospital District was created by the legislature of the state of New Mexico. Immunity is waived against the hospital and doctor under the New Mexico Tort Claims Act, NMSA 41-4-1, 1978. Defendant hospital, through administration, policies, and procedures, was negligent in failing to exercise ordinary care, treatment, and diagnosis of Alexee Trevizo, thereby leading to the death of Alexee Fierro. That pisses me off. Any claim by Alexee, her boyfriend, the baby daddy, by Mama Rosa, by any of these attorneys, that this hospital caused the death of Alex is preposterous. It's disgusting. It's an insult. Period. Defendant hospital breached its duties by failure to perform timely, complete, and accurate assessment of Alexee. Failure to follow guidelines and practices that a woman of childbearing age complaining of low back pain and or abdominal pain is presumed pregnant until proven otherwise. Failure to follow guidelines and practices that a woman of childbearing age who indicates she has to go to the bathroom should be examined first to make certain she's not pregnant and giving birth. So, in other words, they're supposed to tell her, oh, you can't go take a poop. We have to make sure you're not going to have a baby come out of your vagina. Come on. How ridiculous. Failure to follow guidelines and practices that a woman known by the hospital doctor and caregivers to be pregnant based on hospital and doctor tests should be examined before going to the bathroom, especially after muscle relaxants and morphine have been given via an IV to make certain she's not giving birth as opposed to having to relieve herself. She wouldn't let them touch her. Alexee refused a physical exam. Up until that point, she was adamant that she wasn't pregnant, she was a virgin, never had relations, yada, yada, yada. Oh, no, I'm not pregnant. I'm just fat from eating all those McDonald's burgers. Yeah, no. Failure to document accurate, factual, and complete information in the patient's permanent medical record regarding nursing care tendered. Failure to develop and implement an appropriate nursing plan of care for a 19-year-old female patient in the emergency room complaining of low back pain, abdominal pain, and necessity of going to the bathroom. Failure to provide standard nursing interventions to prevent the administration of medication or contradicted medication to be administered to patients prior to an appropriate differential diagnosis. Failure to develop and implement an appropriate nursing plan of care for a person reporting with the symptoms of Alexee. Failure to have at the top of the list the possibility of pregnancy. Failure to provide standard nursing interventions to prevent administration of medication or contraindicated medication to a patient who is pregnant. Failure to hire medical providers who are qualified and adequately trained regarding diagnosis of pregnancy. Now that, I feel like that's an insult to this team. That's an insult to the doctor and the nurses who did everything they could to take care of Alexee. Alexee was refusing care and she was lying. If you don't tell your doctor or your nursing staff, that your medical care team, the truth, how the hell do you expect them to just figure stuff out? They have to go through then extra hoops, extra steps to figure this all out. So that's an insult to even possibly state that these folks were not well trained. I think that's an insult to that medical team, and that's awful. Failure to hire medical providers who are qualified and adequately trained regarding the necessity for performance of pelvic exams and delivering babies. Again, BS. That team was ready to help her in any way she needed. She caused issues. She lied. She was deceptive. She manipulated everybody. And she never once told the truth. And she never once asked for help. That is all on Alexee. Failure to have available necessary equipment to properly examine a woman of childbearing years to determine pregnancy and whether birth is imminent. Failure to implement and operate a medical record system to communicate patient status to the attending physician in a timely and proper manner. Failure to implement and operate a system in which the existence of a pregnancy is immediately provided to the attending physician. So I guess they're assuming we should have some sort of technology that instantly goes, hey, she's pregnant and she's 9 months pregnant. Come on, that's ridiculous. Failure to implement and operate a system in which the attending physician and nurses communicate timely and in a proper manner with the patient. I feel like they did a lot of communication there. Failure to ensure that nursing and medical staff timely and properly identify a pregnancy. They knew she was pregnant. She kept telling them no. But I guess we're going to keep repeating all this garbage. Failure to implement a system that provides violation of HIPAA laws. Failure to implement and operate a system that assures privacy of its patients. Failure to implement and operate a system that requires written consent prior to sharing a patient's healthcare information. I think once you become a criminal and commit a murder, you kind of lose a lot of those rights. In my opinion, anyway. Failure to implement and operate a system that prevents the release of HIPAA protected information outside of the hospital and those directly providing care to the patient. Failure to have and supply necessary machinery and equipment to test for pregnancy, especially including component parts for the ultrasound testing and by other means that will be ascertained through discovery during this litigation. Now, hospitals sometimes take time to do certain tests, get certain staff to come in to do ultrasounds, MRIs, whatever is needed. Those of us that have been in hospitals, regardless of if you're in there because you're pregnant or anything, we all know nothing happens quickly, okay, unless you come in there and you are dying at that point. But if you're in there for back pain and abdominal pain, which is what she was in there for, they're going to have to go through certain tests to see what's going on with her. So they're not going to instantaneously be able to say, for certain anything. Again, her lies are a big part of that problem. The treatment, care, and management of Alexee by the hospital during the event described in this complaint were reckless, wanton, and performed with utter disregard for the safety and welfare of Alex Ray Fierro. Alex Ray Fierro's death was a direct and proximate result of the negligent acts and omissions of defendant hospital, doctor, and health care providers of defendant hospital. Bull crap. This is again an insult to this medical team that was present that evening, trying, and that's our key word, trying to help Alexee and later trying to help Alex. They did not put him in that bag and suffocate him. That's all on his mom, Alexee. And again, like I've said previously, this wrongful death lawsuit against Artesia Hospital, it really pisses me off because they already have suffered a lot. You've already had these people have to deal with this. So now you're going to, again, continue making them suffer and deal with issues and continue to not take responsibility, Alexee, that you did anything wrong. And this right here is another reason why you may be 19 years old, but you have a lot of growing up to do. And the death of your son is on you. Maybe one day you'll get that through your head. As a further direct and proximate result of the acts and omissions of the defendant hospital, plaintiff is entitled to wrongful death damages provided by the state of New Mexico. The death of Alexee Fierro was due to the negligence of the defendant hospital, doctor, and healthcare providers without any contributing negligence of the party of Alexee Fierro. Of course Alex didn't do anything wrong. He was a baby. He didn't ask to come into this world. Okay? He didn't ask to be conceived inside of his mother's belly. And he definitely didn't ask to be given birth to in a bathroom, and that he didn't ask to be put in a plastic bag and suffocated to death. That's all on Mama. That is all on Alexee Trevizo. Count 2. Negligent hiring, credentialing, training, and supervision against defendant hospital. So it goes on. Yeah, this is 19 pages long, this entire wrongful death lawsuit. All previous paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference. The doctors, nurses, and staff who cared for Alexee were all acting in relevant times as employees, agents, apparent agents, ostensible agents, and or contractors over which defendant hospital had sufficient control. Defendant hospital knew or should have known that hiring and or credentialing the doctors, nurses, and staff who cared for Alexee would create an unreasonable risk of injury to a group or class that includes decedent. Bull crap. Defendant hospital failed to use ordinary care in hiring and or credentialing the doctors, nurses, and staff who cared for Alexee. Another huge insult to the hospital and this staff. The defendant hospital is responsible for ensuring its healthcare providers are properly educated and trained so the patients do not suffer and a baby is not born in a manner recited herein. So the baby, because they let her go to the bathroom, which, guess what? You're in a hospital, you're allowed to go to the bathroom. It's a basic human right. If you gotta go, you gotta go. Because she went in there, gave birth to this baby, and decided to put it in that trash, it's all the healthcare providers and that team's fault. That just ticks me off. The defendant hospital should have had training programs, written policies, and procedures in place to ensure patients, such as Alexee, were provided with timely and proper medical care. Well, I think that at this point, they're going to probably have training for future people to deal with people like Alexee, who are the new Karens in the world. Alexee and Rosa are probably going to be considered the new Karens of the medical patient world. Because sadly, these people they work hard. Doctors, nurses, all these folks worked hard to try to do everything they could for Alexee, and this is what they're getting. Defendant hospital, through its agents and employees, were required to use the ordinary standard of care a reasonably prudent hospital would use in hiring, training, supervising, and granting privileges to the doctor as a professional healthcare provider. The defendant hospital, through its agents and employees, willfully, recklessly, or negligently provided Alexee inadequate medical services and violated the rules of standard of care through one or more acts or omissions, including the following: choosing to allow unqualified and inappropriately trained healthcare professionals to practice in its facilities. Bull crap. Choosing not to provide or require adequate training of agents and or employees regarding pregnancy. Another bullcrap statement. Choosing not to establish or enforce adequate written procedures and guidelines for timely and proper recognition of pregnancy. Yeah, another crap. Choosing not to establish or enforce adequate written procedures and guidelines for timely and proper communication between the laboratory and the doctors and nurses. Choosing not to establish or enforce adequate written procedures and guidelines for communication between the doctors and nurses with the patient in a timely and proper manner. Choosing not to have adequate written procedures and guidelines for recognition of pregnancy and timely and proper delivery of a baby. Choosing not to establish and enforce adequate written procedures regarding HIPAA violations. Choosing not to establish and enforce adequate written procedures for privacy violations. choosing not to have adequate written procedures and guidelines regarding privacy and protection of HIPAA information, choosing not to have adequate skilled staff and equipment to provide competent care for its patients, choosing not to adequately supervise employees and agents practicing or working at the hospital, choosing not to hire, credential, or grant privileges only to well-qualified physicians in the emergency department, choosing not to provide or require adequate training regarding thorough and accurate note-taking, dictation, and making the medical record, choosing not to provide or require adequate training regarding communication between nursing staff, laboratory staff, and doctors, choosing not to establish or enforce policies and procedures regarding obtaining testing immediately and prior to the administration of medications, choosing not to establish or enforce policies and procedures regarding following the professional warnings for administration of dosage and types of medications to the patient, and by other means ascertained through discovery during this litigation. The defendant hospital further failed to use ordinary care and training in supervising the doctors, nurses, and staff who cared for Alexee. Now, tell me that doesn't piss you off. I would not want to be one of these people that worked that night to do everything they could to help Alexee. This is a punch in the face and then another punch in the gut. It's an insult. It's insult to injury already. If the doctors, nurses, and staff who cared for Alexee had been properly trained and supervised, they would not have, among other things, negligently failed to provide adequate nursing interventions to prevent the death of Alexee Fierro. So, what were they supposed to do? Not let her go to the bathroom in private? Yeah. Negligently failed to provide adequate nursing interventions to prevent the death of Alexee Fierro. I think that's the same statement. Another bullcrap. Negligently failed to provide adequate medical services to prevent medication, over-medication, or contradicted medication for a pregnant female. While they may not have been the first they would have gone for, as we've heard throughout the comments, all these videos I've done, and throughout many medical professionals, nurses, doctors have said nothing that was given to her would cause the death. And also, none of that medication put the baby in the trash bag. Negligently failed to provide adequate medical services to prevent medication. Okay, we read that one. Okay, failure to adequately and timely require testing of a female patient, 19 years of age, reporting with lower back pain, abdominal pain, and feeling like she needed to go to the bathroom. Because goodness gracious, if she just didn't have to take a big poop. Yeah, and next time, someone who's not pregnant, they're going to say, they thought I was pregnant, and instead, I had to take a big poop. Come on. Failure to provide adequate doctors and nursing staff with the ability and training to recognize pregnancy, perform objective testing for pregnancy, and obtain immediate testing for pregnancy, and failure to timely and properly diagnose pregnancy. Failure to timely and appropriately communicate between the laboratory, nurses, staff, and the attending doctor the results of the pregnancy test in a manner intended to immediately notify such persons. Failure to provide adequate medical intervention to ensure timely and proper pain assessment, mental status assessment, objective hands-on examinations, and communication of same, including adequate documentation, and in other manners which will be made known through discovery. Defendant hospital's negligence in hiring, credentialing, training, and supervising the doctors, nurses, and staff who cared for Alexee was a direct, proximate cause of Alexee Fierro's ultimate death. Bull crap. And I'm going to leave it at that because I know you all will have comments about that as much as I do. The actions, failures, and omissions were reckless, wanton, and with utter disregard for the welfare and safety of Alexee Fierro. Whoa, wait. Let me fix this for them. The actions, failures, and omissions from Alexee were reckless, wanton, and with utter disregard for the welfare and safety of her son, Alex. There you go. Count 3. Negligence through respondent superior and vicarious liability against defendant hospital. All previous paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference. At all times of a relevant hearing, the nurses, doctors, and staff of defendant hospital were acting within the course and scope of their employment with defendant. When thorough acts and omissions were outlined in the preceding paragraphs, they failed to use ordinary care in providing treatment that a reasonable and prudent healthcare provider would have provided under the same or similar circumstances. More BS. At all relevant times herein, the doctors, nurses, and staff were acting within the course and scope of their employment with defendant hospital. When and through the acts and omissions outlined in the preceding paragraphs, they failed to meet the standard of care that a reasonable and prudent healthcare provider would have provided under the same or similar circumstances. At all relevant times herein, the doctors, nurses, and staff who cared for Alexee were under the control of defendant hospital. Therefore, the hospital is liable pursuant to doctrines of respondent superior and vicarious liability. The management or lack of management of Alexee's medical condition was reckless, wanton, and performed with utter disregard for Alexee's safety and welfare and for the safety and welfare of Alex Ray Fierro. Again, let me fix this particular one for this attorney, for the attorneys. Okay? The management, how about this? The acts of Alexee Trevizo to inform and not lie to the hospital staff who was trying to help her were reckless, wanton, and performed with utter disregard for her baby Alex's safety and welfare, and her own safety and welfare. There you go. I fixed it for you guys. As a direct and proximate result of the negligent acts and omissions of defendant hospital through the doctors and nurses and staff who cared for Alexee, over whom defendant hospital had suffered sufficient control, Alex Ray Fierro died. Alex died in a trash bag he was put in by his mother. Period. As a further direct and proximate result of the negligent acts and omissions of the defendant hospital through the doctors, nurses, and staff who cared for Alexee, over whom defendant hospital had sufficient control, Alex Ray Fierro is entitled to statutory wrongful death damages. I think he's entitled to a lot more from his mom, but she never even gave him a chance, so yeah. The death of Alex Ray Fierro was due to the negligence of defendant hospital without any contributing negligence on the part of Alex Ray Fierro. Okay, let me fix this one for you too, guys. I know you just need a lot of help on this one. How about, let's fix 78, okay? The death of Alex Ray Fierro was due to the negligence of Alexee Trevizo without any contributing negligence on the part of Alex. Because he was the baby. It was all about mama, not him. And the hospital had nothing to do with that. John Doe's A through F and John Doe Companies G through K are or may be included in the performance, actions, omissions, and failures set forth above. Count 4 against Doctor. All previous paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference. Defendant Vacas intentionally, willfully, recklessly, and negligently provided inadequate medical services, resulting in the death of Alex Ray Fierro in violation of the standard of care for a hospitalist in New Mexico by committing one or more of the following acts and omissions. Choosing not to be in the proper physical, mental, and emotional condition to perform medical services. Oh, this is laughable. This is laughable. Choosing not to have adequate training and knowledge of the medications and treatments to be utilized to timely and properly treat Alexee. Nonetheless, she attempted to perform them anyway. Goodness gracious that that she would try to help Alexee, who came in with pain threshold of 10 out of 10 and was asking for help. So she tried to help her feel better, which is what they do. You know, that's what doctors and nurses do. And when they ask her to help with what's going on, she only gave them like a sliver of information. Left out a huge part about, oh wait, I'm pregnant. Choosing not to explain to Alexee her true condition, and as Alexee continued to exhibit symptoms of pregnancy, deliberately, intentionally, willfully, wantonly, recklessly, and with utter disregard, did not explain the truth to Alexee in a timely manner. Yeah, this is crap. I'm sure they told her she was pregnant, and she was going, no, I'm not pregnant. I've never had sex before. I'm a virgin. Choosing not to explain the true nature of Alexee's condition to Alexee so she could make an informed decision about her future care. Choosing not to timely, properly, and immediately become aware of testing results communicated by the laboratory. Providing services to Alexee without the requisite training, skill, knowledge, experience, and expertise. Again, these are all a huge insult to this doctor, and I feel awful for her. Improperly diagnosing and treating Alexee with medications prior to appropriate, timely, and proper testing and screening. Improperly treating Alexee with incorrect medications at inappropriate intervals. And administration of contradicted medications, and failing to monitor, assess, and stay advised of Alexee's true conditions. More crap and untruths. Inability to diagnose or choosing to ignore the differential diagnosis of pregnancy. Choosing not to have immediate testing performed to determine the true reasons for Alexee's condition. Choosing not to make sure the nurses performed assessments at appropriate intervals. And choosing to allow HIPAA violations regarding the medical condition of Alexee indecent. Choosing to fail to provide Alexee with her privacy rights, and choosing to blame the death of Alexee Fierro upon others, rather than taking responsibility for her failures and omissions. Crap, and more crap. The intentional, willful, reckless, and negligent acts and or omissions of Dr. Vargas, and I apologize, I'm probably saying this doctor's name wrong, and I think highly of her, were a direct and proximate cause of the death of Alexee Fierro. Nope. Wrong. Damages against defendants. All previous paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference as a direct and proximate result of the acts and omissions of the defendants described above. Alexee Fierro died. He died. That's a fact. That the rest of the stuff is totally untrue. As such, plaintiff seeks damages, including the wrongful death damages provided under statutory law in the state of New Mexico, pre-judgment interest, post-judgment interest, and plaintiff's cost of suit, as allowed by law, and such other and further relief as this court deems just and proper in the premises. Count 5. Punitive damages against defendants. All previous paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference. Defendants' acts and omissions complained of in the preceding paragraphs are believed to be of an egregious nature in reckless, wanton, and total disregard to the rights and safety of Alexee Fierro. Among others, these intentional, malicious, willful, reckless, and/or wanton acts and omissions of defendants, either singularly or in combination or based on the cumulative conduct of employees of defendants, were a cause of Alexee Fierro's death. Wrong. As such, in addition to actual damages ascertained and demonstrated in this manner, punitive damages are required to punish and deter these types of acts and omissions in the future. Punitive damages should be assessed jointly and severally, wherefore plaintiff prays for judgment against defendants, jointly and severally for wrongful death damages, sufficient to fully compensate plaintiff for the injuries and damages described herein, for survivorship claims and for the loss of consortium claims for intentional infliction of emotional distress, post-judgment interest, pre-judgment interest, plaintiff's cost of suit as allowed by law, and punitive damages, and for such other relief to which plaintiff may be entitled in the premises. And of course, it's signed by our favorite Gary Mitchell and his team. And yeah. This pisses me off, and I know a lot of you guys are going to agree with me. It just doesn't end with this girl, does it? It doesn't end. Zero responsibility coming from this face on the screen. She doesn't care about anyone but herself, And I believe all this was taught by Mama Rosa. From what we understand, Mama Rosa's got a bit of criminal past herself. Definitely some fraud and that sort of stuff in the background, but yeah. She didn't learn any honesty at all, it seems, from Mom, which is really sad. It's very sad. I can't speak for Dad because we don't know much about him, but of the alleged what Rosa states that he abused her while she was pregnant with Alexee, which I refuse to believe without further info on that. But this entire lawsuit is such garbage. It's such garbage, and it's an insult to Artesia Hospital, and it's an insult to the doctors and nurses who did everything they could that night to help Alexee and her baby. It's an insult, and I feel horrible for them. And I feel, of course, I always feel horrible for baby Alex. But this girl right here could care less about anyone but herself. All she wants to do is do what she wants, throw her kid in the trash. Hopefully nobody figures it out. Now that they figured it out and they've arrested her, she's being charged. She's decided, well, I'm going to file a lawsuit because I didn't do anything wrong. God forbid I did something wrong, because I'm Miss Perfect. No, you're not, honey. You're really not. And as much as much as part of me wants to say, don't give her life in prison because, maybe you should give her another chance. But I don't know, guys. I mean, it's just the more and more that comes out through Gary Mitchell, her attorney, this is all it just gets my blood boiling. It's really hard for me to, feel bad for anyone but the staff of the hospital and the baby. Everyone else, Alexee, Rosa, Devin, his mom, and everyone else who did nothing but idly stand by, they all deserve crap. And I just feel awful for the staff of this hospital. Because in my opinion, they did everything that they possibly could. The only other thing, what do they expect them to do? To bust down the door? And God forbid they did that. That would have been a whole nother issue altogether. But I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think of this one. Again, you can tell it's got my blood boiling, and I'm sure it's going to get you guys riled up. But I don't know. And with that said, I hope you have a great rest of the day. And most of all, stay safe.